Hi, this is Aaron Booker from Varvid.tv, and I'm here with Chris Amori from Virtual Administrator.
Hey Aaron, how are you?
Doing well. And today we're going to talk a little bit about how managed service providers can increase their monthly revenue. And Chris, you've been doing this for a long time, helping MSPs.
Yep, long time. So we started with our own business. We had our own MSP business. We started in 2005. And we were a Kaseya ConnectWise shop, and we'd go to these trade shows like this, and we'd sit down with people and kind of preach and talk about managed services. And what happened is we ended up giving them access to our servers so they could try it out, just to try it. And they ended up being like house guests that never left. And so we kind of woke up one morning, we had about 1,000 endpoints that didn't even belong to us. And so we said, you know what, there's a need there. You know, there's a lot of guys that want to get into this business, but don't want to take the time to research it, don't have the capital to invest in it up front. And so we started Virtual Administrator in 2004, 2005-ish, or actually it's 2007, 2008-ish, sorry. And basically that's been my side of the business. So we still have our managed service business, and we learn a lot from ourselves. We're our own best guinea pigs. And then we basically started the VA side. But anyway,
well, I love hearing companies that eat their own dog food and are still managed service providers even after they cross that line and become a vendor, because like you said, it's your real world, you really understand it, you're not preaching down from on high, you're right there in the trenches with everybody else.
Every day. I mean, we're doing this every day, and the beauty is, I mean, a lot of the vendors that we have on our side are vendors that we use, and the reason that we brought them to the partners was because we've got this years of experience. I mean, 4, 5, 6 years experience with some of them, and you know, they're very entrenched in our own business. We couldn't be successful without them. But
so
anyway,
for a typical MSP that's gotten started and now they're starting to think about, okay, I'm managing computers. You know, they've kind of got base level MSP. They're managing computers and they've got a help desk solution. You know, maybe if they're using ConnectWise or Autotask or something, and got some sort of email connection going on. What do you think are some real logical, easy things to kind of graduate to find more recurring revenue? Yeah,
so I mean, the big thing is making that transition, right? So hopefully, I mean, here we are. We've been talking about managed services for years and years and years, but I can't tell. I mean, every day I still have partners that are coming that are just getting started in it or trying to make the transition. So rule number one, and we don't spend too much time on it, is look, you got to do managed services, and you got to do hopefully full all-you-can-eat managed services. So assuming you've done that, the next thing that we look at with people is sometimes they don't know what to do with the break-fix customers. So the second thing that I would say is, once you've got that top tier done, is look at your other customer base and maybe put them on a monitoring only program. Just try to get them used to spending money with you on a regular basis. So a little bit comes in, you're not doing a lot for them, you just do a little patch management, a little monitoring, but they start getting used to that recurring revenue. And believe it or not, that starts adding up. To be honest, first 4 years of our business, that's all we did was small monitoring. We didn't do the all-you-can-eat. So, after that, I think there's a lot of opportunities out there, and you look at different segments of the business. Backup is a big one. I mean, it's a good kind of gateway product to get you in the door, get your foothold in the door. Everybody needs backup. Everybody knows they need backup, so it's a much easier sell than trying to convince them to pay you lots of money to take over their whole network. So, look at your backup vendors and try to get a solution in place that's maybe, not just file-based backup, but taking it to the next level with some of the technologies that are out there now, where, hey, let's spin up things locally. Let's spin up things in a cloud for disaster recovery. So I think backup is certainly something that everybody should bring. I think email and email security has been done, and everybody should have it.
But I think we should just lay it out there. I mean, spam filtering is still a need that so many people aren't managing well.
It's hard to believe,
and
right?
redundancy for email as well in the cloud.
Yep, it's hard to believe that not everybody doesn't have email being filtered in the cloud by one of the many vendors that are out there. And so, that's just a natural. I mean, for us, when we started, back 7-8 years ago, when we started doing managed services, we bundled in spam filtering. We bundled in antivirus, so those became managed services, and they also became sticky points with the client. So it's a lot harder for them to, when you got control of all this stuff, for them to think about leaving, and they loved it. It was just a no questions asked. But so assuming maybe you've already done spam filtering, and that's great, there's a couple, there's new things in that world. You got to go back to the client base. What about archiving? Do you have customers that have a compliance need or a concern for disaster recovery? Have some archiving out there. What about encryption? There's a big need now to protect private data, and again, the companies have, the vendors have come out and have come out with things so you can go look at those clients and say, hey, do you have, some of your customers, some of the users might need encryption because you're sending sensitive documents, and again, kind of sell that. What else? I mean, there's all kinds of things. I can go on about this stuff forever. Managed firewall. How many people are out there actually managing the firewall? Sure, we all put firewalls in, but are we charging a monthly fee to manage that? Are we providing the customers with, say, reports on, hey, what are your employees doing during the day? How much time are they spending on Facebook? How much time are they spending on YouTube? And so that they have the data necessary to make business decisions to stop that or to correct it. And so that becomes another opportunity for the client.
Well, it's interesting too, because as people start to consider hardware as a service kinds of, or technology as a service kinds of approaches, managed firewall, of course, fits nicely into that. Takes that bigger capital expense that it can be and turns that into a monthly expense, and gives you a great margin on it. Much better margin than you would get if you sold it.
Yep, absolutely. And again, you've got a sticky point with the customer. If you actually own that firewall, I mean, if they're going to, you're going to have to go rip that firewall out at some point. Somebody's going to have to do a transition. It becomes a lot more complicated.
Yes, it does.
But again, it's all about providing value. One of my, kind of the newest thing is this print management we're hearing about, right? There's a lot of people talking about print management. I think I know it's an opportunity that we hadn't taken advantage of internally in our own business. Selling supplies. I mean, we talk about print management, but at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is make some extra recurring revenue selling supplies. Now, it's not going to make you rich overnight, but it's these nickels and dimes that add up over time. Every toner cartridge, every print, we all consume this stuff. Why are we not selling that? Why are they going to Staples and Office Depot or Quill or whoever they buy their supplies from and actually giving that money to them? So, getting into print management, I think, is another area that you can not only provide some reporting to the customer on, say, how many pages are they printing a month? Oh, well, we're printing 4,000 pages a month, but somehow we're going through 10 cases of paper. Well, okay, where's that paper going? Obviously, every employee has got stacks of it at home, for their own print. I mean, these are just little things that, again, can add up.
So it's interesting what you say too about those nickels and dimes, or $5, $10, $20 a month kinds of revenues. On the other side of the coin, from an expense side, I know that's where the profit goes away, is when you're not keeping track of those, and so certainly those kinds of revenues add up. I've always noticed that is the little things add up to the big things.
Yeah, I mean you start looking at you get, if you have 20 or 30 or 50 clients and they're spending, maybe you make $50 a month off of them in print management and just in supply revenue. And most of these vendors, it's a fairly automated process. You push a button and a supply drop ships to the customer. It's not like you have to spend a lot of time on it. But the next thing you know, you've got a $5,000 or $6,000 or $8,000 a year business revenue, pure revenue, not just profit.
Exactly.
And that becomes that's a vacation. I mean, that's not insignificant.
No.
So it's I think that's what you have to do, is just sort of look in the customer base. Look at what's out there and try to find opportunities.
One of the things that I remember years ago, somebody in my peer group did, and I just loved it, was they output all of their clients and all of their service offerings, and they put check boxes in for what clients had what service offerings, and then they started to very intentionally focus on making sure that all their clients knew about all their service offerings. So they focused, of course, on the ones that were the easiest things to do first, and then slowly added and as they grew out. But that sort of approach really makes sense.
Yeah, once you get your kind of what we like to call the medicine cabinet, right? We've got this medicine cabinet with all kinds of medicine. We can't give the medicine to everybody, but we've got an answer for you. Whatever was wrong with you, we got something in the cabinet. So once you have that, and that's one of the things we try to do is find those vendors for you, is maybe focus 1 month. I mean, just one topic a month. Maybe it's a blurb on the invoice that goes out. Hey, did you know about that we can do supplies for you and save you 20%? Or, do you want to know what your employees are doing, on the internet? Just whatever, just some focus. I think you're going to see payoffs from that.
Well, and it keeps you relevant with your clients. I think many MSPs have had the experience where a client leaves because another partner comes along and offers something that the MSP offered, but the client didn't realize it.
Yep.
And it keeps the client it helps the client understand that you are continuing to move forward and evolve with the industry and add new service offerings.
Yep. So keep eyeing that. I mean, obviously the cloud is the cloud. We were joking about it earlier. I mean, everybody talks about it, and the customers are going to be asking about it. So, and like the presentation, the keynote this morning with Bob talking about having those cloud offerings again in your medicine cabinet, so that you can pull one off the shelf and say, okay, here's the right cure for you. But make sure that every one of those things that you're doing is a moneymaker for you, even if it's just pennies. I try to avoid letting the customer pay for that directly. Try to have it all on the one bill. Again, I think
one throat to choke.
One throat to choke, and one bill to pay. They're not thinking about it. It's just all it's in there. Domain registrations. Are there how many people are making money selling domain registrations and SSL certificates? A lot of people don't. They just go to GoDaddy and they buy it and they give it to the customer and pass through the cost sometimes. Well, why isn't that being marked up, or why aren't you getting a discount off of the list prices by participating in one of the partner programs that allow you to do that? So anyway, like I said, I mean, there's a lot of things there, and I would just challenge everybody to maybe what you said. Maybe a checklist is a good idea. Here's the things that we can do, and here's the customers and what's missing, and focus on spending a little bit of time on promoting that one little thing.
Well, I see so many partners that just don't do a good job of educating, and that's the weakness of many partners, is they're technical, and they love the technical part, but they need to understand that they need to share, in my opinion, they need to share that love of those technical features and capabilities with their partners. And if you don't tell your partners, then somebody else will.
Right, that's exactly. I mean, you get in, and believe me, these printer management people, the print companies of the world, they're very scared. The phone company, the people, there's a lot of people here that are phone vendors. They're running scared because our business is starting to come up into that as everything is IP related, and it becomes a little easier to do. We can kind of start nibbling at their heels. And so what they're doing is they're trying to figure out, okay, well, I've got to start doing IT. Right. So you need to be in there, because it could be the copier vendor is going to be making a call saying, hey, I can do fully managed services for you now, because maybe they partnered with another guy, or maybe they've just brought it in-house. So definitely being preemptive is a good point.
Well, hey, thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure.
Enjoyed the conversation, and I know we could continue on for longer.
Hours and hours. So thanks for having me. I really enjoy it, and I hope everybody got something out of it.
And I'm glad that you kept that big dictionary of topics down.
I did. I've got 15 pages more to go through. So. Pleasure, Aaron. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Thanks.
You.
Take care.
Brought to you by the fine folks at Varvid, video and digital media for business. Contact us at info@varvid.com or online at varvid.com.